Hello, this is Group 1 and we are presenting on week 8. Heat flow equation. Whenever there is temperature gradient within a body, heat energy will flow from the region of high temperature to the region of low temperature. Heat flow can be described using Fourier's law, which says that heat flow is directly proportional to the negative of temperature gradient within the body. Heat flow equation. It is a partial differential equation which describes the distribution of heat or temperature variation in a region over time. The equation is given here. The relation between thermal conductivity and thermal diffusivity is given by this equation, where alpha is thermal diffusivity and K is thermal conductivity. Grad square is the Laplace operator, which is del 2 by del x square plus del 2 by del y square plus del 2 by del z square. 3D heat flow equation is a bit complex to solve, but 1D heat flow equation can be solved easily using MATLAB. Solution can be obtained using two boundary conditions and one initial condition. For example, if we consider a rod of length L is equal to 1, alpha is equal to 1 and the given conditions, then we obtain a solution which is plotted here. This graph shows the temperature variation with respect to position and time. And if we take a particular time, then the graph is shown here. Semi-infinite material. Semi-infinite material means it is finite in one dimension and infinite in the other. Implication of semi-infinite material in casting solidification is that the mold air interface temperature can be taken as constant. Thermal resistance is the opposition offered to the heat flow whenever two bodies are in contact. But why does this resistance comes in picture at all? The reason is due to surface roughness, only a small fraction of surface area can be in actual contact, and so there is a temperature drop at the interface which leads to the thermal resistance. Solidification of castings. In most castings and ingot making processes, heat flow is not steady state. Heat flows through a series of thermal resistances. And if we try to model and solve this situation, the problem is mathematically and physically very complex. So we can use some simplifying assumptions. Like we can take the resistance, interface resistance very much larger than the resistance drop in mold and solid. The rate of heat flow across interface is given by this equation, and if we integrate this equation from time t is equal to 0 to time t is equal to t, we get the S which is given by this equation, where S is the length of solidified region. Since heat transfer across a interface does not depend on the shape of interface, S can be taken as volume upon area, from which we get the total solidification time given by this equation. Here rho s is the density of solid, and this equation is valid only for H is very much less than Ks by, and that is 1 by H is very much larger than 1 by K, where 1 by H is the resistance at the interface and 1 by K is the resistance, conduction resistance in the mold.
Now insulating mold. So here we are taking two assumptions. The first one is that metal is conducting and the mold is insulating, so which is very clear from the name itself. Thus the solidification rate will depend only on the mold properties. Now this is used in two cases, in sand casting and in investment casting, because in sand casting we use sand mold and in investment casting we use wax mold, and both of them are insulating. The second assumption here is that mold is semi-infinite. That is, it is infinite in one direction, and which implies that the mold air interface will remain at a constant temperature T0, which is the ambient temperature. Now further assumptions here are that metal is poured at Tm, which is a melting temperature, and there is no superheating. And the second assumption is that the heat flow is unidirectional. Now the heat diffusivity equation for 3 dimensions is given by this equation. Here this equation, which is del T by del T minus alpha del square T by del x square plus del square T by del y square plus del square T by del z square equal to 0. But here, since we have one dimensional flow and transient flow, so the equation will reduce to del T by del T minus alpha m del square T by del x square, because the temperature change with respect to y and z direction would be 0. Now defining the variables used here, alpha m is thermal diffusivity of mold, which is in centimeter square per second, km is thermal conductivity of mold, T is time, and x is distance from mold wall, and it would be negative inside the mold because we are taking x equal to 0 at the mold metal interface. Now thermal diffusivity. The thermal diffusivity is thermal conductivity divided by density and specific heat capacity at a constant pressure. Now you can say that it's like a measure of thermal inertia. So if the thermal diffusivity is high, so that means heat moves rapidly through because the substance would conduct heat quickly relative to its volumetric heat capacity. Now again, thermal conductivity, that is a property of material's ability to conduct heat. So high thermal conductivity would mean high rate of heat transfer. Yeah. So boundary condition here for insulating mold is that at T equal to 0, T mold is equal to T melting temperature. So which implies that mold surface is heated suddenly to T melting point and time T equal to 0. So now the equation becomes T minus Tm is equal to T0 minus Tm, T minus Tm upon T0 minus Tm is equal to error function of minus x by 2 root alpha mt. Now here error function ERF denotes the error function, and T0 is the ambient temperature, which I had described earlier that it is the air mold interface temperature. So now applying the equations which were written in for the interface higher resistance, which were the rate of heat flow into the mold, we'll get the final thickness solidified after time T as S is equal to 2 by root pi Tm minus Tu0 upon rho sh into root of Km rho m Cm into root T. Now here an important thing to note is that Tm minus T0 upon rho sh is the metal properties, and the other one is mold properties. So this is mold properties and this is for metal properties. So this equation predicts the manner in which thermal properties of the metal and mold combine to determine the solidifying rate of a metal cast into an insulating mold. Now see this graph. So here, as we have described that this is the T0 temperature, so this remains at the ambient temperature, and here this is conducting, so this remains at melting temperature, and the temperature variation is in mold only. Now this is more accurate for highly conductive metals like Cu, Al and Mg based alloys, which is clear because we are here considering that the mold is insulating, so that the metal should be relatively very high conductive. Now this Km rho m Cm is measure of the rate at which mold can absorb heat. This is heat diffusivity. Now here even the geometry of mold wall is important, because if we have a concave surface, then the heat flow is divergent, which is slightly more rapid, and if you have convex surface, then the heat flow is convergent, which is slightly less rapid. Our reference here is plane mold wall. That means I'm comparing with respect to plane mold wall. Now for simple shapes, we assume that difference in curvature won't be large, and that a given square centimeter of mold surface has a fixed ability to absorb heat regardless of its contour or location of the location on the casting. So with this approximation, I can replace S as V by A, where V is the volume solidified at time T and A is the area of mold metal interface. This S is equal to V by A. So now we get S is equal to V by A, which is equal to 2 by root pi into this. So this I can write it as for the total solidification time, I can write it as Tf is equal to C into V by A square. Now C would be constant if for a given mold material and mold temperature. So C would be constant for a given, in fact C would be constant for a given metal mold material and mold temperature. Now you can see from this graph that the curves are different for different metals and different insulating molds. This is because as I described in the earlier equation, that the distance solidified depends on both material properties and mold properties. Now ingot casting. Now till now we have seen particular cases where the interface resistance was higher or the mold was insulating. Now for complete solution, we require the thermal resistance of the metal, mold-metal interface, mold and mold surroundings, all these should be considered. But now here the exact analytical solutions are available only for the limited cases which are of engineering interest, wherein the heat flow is one-dimensional and mold-metal interface resistance is negligible. So the mold is either held at constant temperature, first case, or is very thick. So we have here two cases, water-cooled chill, which is a resistance in solid only, and the mold is maintained at one temperature, which is water cooled. And the second is mold is not water cooled, but it is semi-infinite, which the semi-infinite thing I have described earlier. Now water cooled chill. So solid resistance, so we have here solid resistance only. So we have this equation. Now the boundary conditions are that at x equal to 0, t equal to t naught, and at x is equal to s, t is equal to tm. So solution final becomes the solid for s is equal to 2 into gamma into root alpha s t. This solution was given by Karslow and Jaeger. Now gamma can be calculated from this equation. So finally the temperature distribution in the solidifying metal would be this, where T01 is an integration constant. Now the case B, where mold is not water cooled but it is semi-infinite. So here both metal and mold have significant resistance. So here the equation would be a little more complicated, which would be given by this. Now we can easily see that here even the mold properties are taken into account. The temperature at any point x would become this. Now gamma can be calculated as done before in case A from that equation. Now these are the two graphs. So here you can clearly see that this is water cooled, the case 1, this is water cooled. So it is at a constant temperature, and again here it is not water cooled, so it is curved. So that temperature drop is across this line also. Now one important thing to note here is that why the slope changes. Why can't it be like this or something like this? So why the slope changes? So slope of solid here would depend on the solid properties only, and that would be given by 1 by ks into q by a. Now q by a is the heat flow, which is the same in both the cases, because the heat entering should be the heat exiting. We are assuming here that heat is not flowing anywhere else, and slope of mold is given by 1 by km into q by a. So here we can clearly see that because of this ks and km, the both slope would be different at x equal to 0. Now this graph, this is unidirectional solidification of pure iron against 3 types of chill. So we can see that the time for a given thickness, most time is taken by cast iron chill, while for water cooled chill we have the least time taken, because this is water cooled. So we have a constant temperature in the mold, and so minimum time would be taken for this.
Hello, now we will talk about solidification in single phase alloys. All metals solidify at a unique temperature, while in alloys, in contrast to metals, they solidify over a range of temperature. As shown in the Udeckte phase diagram, aluminium melts at around 650 degrees Celsius, while silicon melts or solidifies at around 1414 degrees Celsius, while an alloy of aluminium and silicon solidifies over a range of temperature. For example, we can see at 40% silicon alloy solidifies over this range of temperature. Similarly, we can see in this graph that a binary alloy, simple alloy, solidifies over this freezing range. Here too, there is this freezing range over which it solidifies. Now we study the distance in the mold versus under root of time graph. We see in this first graph where h, that is coefficient of heat transfer, is equal to infinity, that is absence of resistance and superheat, a layer of solid forms immediately, that is at time t equal to 0. When we have a finite value of h, that is resistance alters in the vicinity of the chill phase, and there is a finite delay in the formation of solid, that is the solid forms after a finite delay of time. Also, initial rate of the isotherm movement in this graph is slower as compared to the previous graph. In both the graphs, we can see similar behavior in the solidus curve towards the end. That is, velocity of the solidus isotherm begins to increase shortly after the liquidus isotherm reaches the end. That is this portion of the curve. Metallurgical aspects of the two curves. The vertical distance between the solidus and the liquidus lines in the previous two graphs represents the width of the mushy zone. By mushy zone, we represent the zone in which both solid and liquid exist together. Casting characteristics such as hot tearing, feeding, and macrosegregation are strongly influenced by this width. The horizontal distance in both the graph measures the local solidification time. That is, the time required for a given fixed location to grow from solidus to liquidus. From liquidus to solidus. Dendrite arm spacing and inclusion size strongly depend on this. In case of finite H coefficient, liquid remains in contact with the mold surface for a finite time during solidification. This is a necessary condition for formation of certain types of macrosegregation and exudation. Now we will going to talk about the phenomena of coring. Solidification of pure metals does not cause a change in composition of the solid. This is known as congruent transformation, while solidification of dilute alloy solution does cause a change in composition. This is known as incongruent transformation. In such transformation depend on cooling rate or interdiffusion process. When in solidification under incongruent processes, fast cooling is done, then rate of diffusion is insufficient to homogenize the composition simultaneously, and this leads to non-equilibrium solidification. This results in a phenomena known as coring. In the graph here, we show a eutectic composition alloy being solidified along the red line. As we cool the graph along the red line, an initial solid with composition C1 forms. We can see here this solid with composition C1 forms. However, as we cool this line further to C2, we assume in an ideal case of equilibrium solidification, a solid of composition C2 should form. However, we observe that only a thin layer of C2 forms, which is not homogenized over the entire solid. A solid with average composition C2 star forms. That is, C2 star is midway between C1 and C2. Similarly, on cooling it further to C3, a solid with average composition C3 forms. But within this solid, there are various layers of different composition. Finally, at eutectic temperature, a solid with average composition C0 forms. But within this solid, there are various layers of different compositions. Now we will define the partition ratio. Partition ratio at any point is defined as the ratio of CS star upon CL star. It is constant when the solidus and the liquidus lines are straight lines, but they are variable when these are curves. Now we will discuss two cases of solidification, that is one equilibrium solidification and the other non-equilibrium solidification, where there is limited diffusion in solid and complete mixing in liquid. Equilibrium solidification occurs in solids when the rate of solidification is slow enough to cause complete diffusion in the solid. We can see at every point during solidification, the solid formed is composition CS star, homogenized over the entire range. However, solidification in crystal growth is never slow enough to cause equilibrium solidification. But if we assume L star is much less than dSt, that is where L is the length of the liquid being solidified, ds is the diffusivity in solid and T is time, then there is complete diffusion in solid. Hence we can assume equilibrium solidification and apply the general mass balance equation, that is CSFS plus CLFL is equal to C0. CS refers to concentration of solute in solid, CL is the concentration of solute in liquid, Fs is fraction of solid solidified, Fl is fraction of liquid, and C0 is the homogenized liquid initially liquid which we started out with. Please note that in spite of the equilibrium nature of solidification, substantial solute distribution occurs during solidification. The material is homogeneous only before and after solidification. Now we will move to case 2, where there is limited diffusion in solid and complete mixing in liquid. The hatched area, that is, this area, represents the movement of the graph. That is, the amount of solute which was initially in the liquid has now moved into the solid. Applying the conservation of area, we get this equilibrium equation, that is Cl minus Cs dFs is equal to Fl into dCl. The notation is similar to that in case 1. This is the most general form of equation applicable both when the partition ratio K is a constant or a variable. Now solving this equation for a case where partition ratio K is a constant equal to Cs by Cl, and also using Fl plus Fs equal to 1, we get this integral equation. And finally, Cl is equal to C naught 1 minus Fs to the power K minus 1. Cs is equal to Kc naught 1 minus Fs to the power K minus 1. These two equations are known as the Scheele equations. Representing case 2 on a graph, we can see initial solid which forms has a ratio, has the composition Kc naught, and the liquid has the composition C naught. At a later temperature T star, the initial solid which was formed had composition Kc naught. The solid which is in equilibrium with the liquid has composition Cs star, which is equal to KCl. In between, due to limited diffusion in solid, there is this curved which exists within the solid. In liquid, there is complete mixing, therefore the entire liquid is at the homogeneous composition of Cl. At temperature Te, the composition of the solid gradually increases from Kc0 to CCM. CSM refers to maximum solubility of the solute in the solid. However, once this point is reached, the remaining liquid solidifies at the eutectic composition Ce. Therefore, we have some amount of eutectic composition forming at the end. Thank you.